Howie Roseman's back at it, just like I'm back at it. It's Howie Roseman season. It's when he does his best work in March and April, plotting, planning, lying in the weeds, waiting to pounce. But he's going to have some tough decisions. And we're going to have to trust in him. At least I am. Sixers, bad loss. Andrew Painter, rookie of the year after one outing. Guys, trending in the AM. We're back, baby. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome all, trending in the AM, right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter. You know the drill. Wherever you're watching, hit the like button on your screen, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. It does not cost you a thing to do it, guys, so make sure you hit the buttons because we are back and better than ever right here on Trending in the AM, guys. So do not hesitate to click those buttons, please. Got to get the algorithm back up after a week off in Florida. But, guys, we got a poll question running live on the YouTube channel. Do you have faith in Howie Roseman this offseason? Absolute complete faith is option A. None, he is overrated. I'm sure there'll be one or two troll votes there. And C option is some, but he's got to be better. And today's topic is very interesting, the kicking, the launching point here about Howie Roseman. I see comments already flowing in. We'll get to them in just a second. We also have to talk about the Phillies today. Andrew Painter made his 2026 debut. Looked pretty damn dominant in spring training Clearwater last night or yesterday morning. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We will talk about the Sixers. And, yeah, I mean, what's there to talk about with the Sixers? I don't even know what we'll talk about the Sixers. But they are on the topic as well. But while I see the comments rolling in, I see some of them about the draft last year, about the faith in Howie. Excuse me. There's a different reason why that is today's topic. And it's because I put out a tweet. I would say, I think I did it Friday afternoon, maybe. Friday while I was at the airport waiting to come home. Which of these five Eagles would shock you the most? Hold on. What did I even make this tweet say exactly? I want to make sure I quote myself the right way here. It was in regards to players that could get traded. 5 names that Howie could consider trading for the right offer this offseason. Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown, names that wouldn't upset anybody. Tanner McCain, last year of his rookie deal as a quarterback. Nolan Smith and Moro Jomo. I put a couple names out there on Twitter, and putting Moro Jomo's name in this tweet set off this firestorm of you don't know football. Why would you trade this great edge or tackle? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? And it made me think, it's because Howie's got tough calls to make. The same reason you might trade Tanner McCain is the same reason you might trade Moro Jomo. You can't pay 3 defensive tackles $20 million. So maybe you trade them. The point of the post was just to remind people that there are going to be some hard decisions made by Howie Roseman this offseason. And you might see a fan favorite leave in free agency or a trade. You might see him make some very difficult decisions because everybody cannot be paid. No matter how much of a wizard Howie Roseman is, you can't pay everybody. Welcome back. What's up? Yes, I had a restful and peaceful vacation, a lot of relaxing. A lot of drinking, a lot of eating. What's up, Steven? How you doing today? Nobody's perfect. I think last season draft was reviewed in the shadow of the season before's draft. It's hard to compare anything to that perfection. Yeah, I agree. And I wasn't going the draft route. I know some people are already labeling last year's draft a bust by the Eagles. That is not the case for me. You do not label Jahad Campbell or Drew Makoba a bust after 1 year. Even Ty Robinson's not labeled a bust yet in my book. Rookies, unless they are top 15 first rounders, take time. All rookies, even top 10s, even top 5s need time to develop, right? They need time. They need time to develop. Johan Rojas just popped with I just saw something right before going live. I don't know what happened with Johan Rojas, but yes, supposedly he's been kicked off the World Baseball Classic, Dominican team for Sterling. Yeah, what's going on in the locker room in Philadelphia with our Phillies? That's kind of crazy. But just enough for you to gauge talent and give them a sense of NFL speed and strength. Yes, good morning, Robert. What's up? Welcome back. Finally, someone worth watching in the morning. Yes, sorry. I planned on doing shows from my in-laws' house this past week, but their Wi-Fi it was hard enough just to pre-record something and upload it, even a short video. So Wi-Fi, when you have one Wi-Fi signal for an entire over 55 community, it's not strong. Third, should get in late already known games to give them experience, also cycle them in. Yeah, absolutely. The point wasn't to talk about the rookies with this Howie confidence. It's, will you have confidence in him that he's doing the right thing when somebody you love, say a Moro Ojomo, gets traded? And I don't think Moro Ojomo gets traded. I don't. But I think there's going to be some shockers this offseason that we don't see coming. So I used Moro Ojomo's name as a reminder that this offseason is so difficult, so critical, but so difficult for Howie Roseman. And tough calls are going to have to be made. We need a functional depth in almost all positions. We do. We really, really, really do. Good morning, Lil G. How we doing today? Happy birthday to your cousin. You didn't say to trade him. You said who might be tradable. Exactly. I didn't say I wanted to trade Moro Ojomo. I know Moro Ojomo's a great young defensive tackle, but he's entering the last year of his deal. Okay? Last year of his deal. You've got Jordan Davis, who's going to get a big extension, probably $20 million a year. You got Jalen Carter, who's going to get about $40 million a year. And yes, if you keep him and lose him next offseason, yeah, you probably get a third-round pick in the following draft. So that would be the 28th draft. I get it. But if somebody calls right now and says, hey, we'll give you a third and a fifth for Moro Ojomo, you take it in this year's draft instead of waiting 2 years for a third. Moro Ojomo's a great young player. You can make an argument you trade Jalen Carter and keep Davis and Ojomo. There's so many moving parts. And I think fans forget. They're like, oh, well, no way, Ojomo, but we'll trade Nolan Smith. Well, Nolan Smith's value is way lower than ever before and way lower than Moro Ojomo at this point. We see fan faves leaving every season. And, yeah, look, what I see happening, what I see going on is March 9th. That's the first day of legal tampering period. And nothing happens for the Eagles. And you're going to see 1,000 tweets and Instagram posts of that little meme or gif of a stick figure poking something in the ground. Howie, do something. When people don't realize there's very little for Howie to do. Howie Roseman has warned us, okay? Howie Roseman has said already that their goal is to re-sign their own players. Their goal is to develop and draft players and then be able to re-sign them. The goal of this offseason is going to be very hard on some fans because tough decisions are going to be made. What's up, mister? How you doing? Good thing we didn't trade Painter like you said. Hey, I'm still on. You can still trade Painter. Andrew Painter looked great yesterday. I caught the videos and highlights of it. Looked fantastic. His fastball was right around 97 miles an hour. Didn't give up a hit in his 2 innings. Struck a batter out. You know, he's going to be very important this year. When I said trade him, it was last year and 2 years ago. Now we kind of need him. We need not to fall in love with homegrown talent. Sometimes 4 great years and selling high is best. Sometimes selling high after year 3 is best, right? Yes, the comp pick situation is becoming a big part of free agency. But you can't run your team hoping that the comp pick situation is all. You don't run free agency just on 2 years down the line for the comp picks. Howie will do what Howie does. Howie is looking for the value which is middle to the end of free agency. That's where, look, he might not even be looking at the middle of free agency right now. He might be looking at the third level. Right now, per spot track or over the cap, whichever one I got this from, with the salary cap of the NFL being $301.2 million this upcoming season, the Eagles currently have $13.6 million in cap space. Okay? It's not a lot of money. With a lot of holes to fill, a lot of free agents to retain, a lot of extensions to be given out. Howie isn't going to even be looking for the second level guys. You're looking at 4, 5, 6, 7 one-year prove-it deals to guys that are going to contribute. Again, you're going to see the Josh Uches of the world, Azeez Ojularis, who are going to get overly hyped about nothing, the Adoree Jacksons of the world, who I'd be all for the Eagles bringing back Adoree Jackson. That's the kind of offseason you're going to see. Sounds like Rojas might have tested positive for weed. Pot is banned. But, okay. So, good call. See, I literally saw that news and then, like, kind of clicked go live like 2 minutes later, so didn't read into it. So he smoked the joint, basically, is what you're saying. Okay. I mean, you still got to know the rules, Anthony. You know, Johan Rojas is playing in the World Baseball Classic. He should know if he's not allowed to do that. Still no good, but, I mean, it would also not shock me if it was a steroid because, I mean, how many Phillies have tested positive for those? Roseman will make all the right decisions. Robert, I love your confidence. And I'm not trying to say he makes all the right decisions all the time. He has made bad decisions. Last offseason, he failed in a lot of areas. Offensive line depth, edge rush depth. I mean, he fixed that with the trade deadline and Jalen Phillips, but now you're stuck on a difficult Jalen Phillips decision, retain or not. Howie did not have his best year last year. But that doesn't mean that there's fans that are already concerned about the job he's going to do this offseason. I'm not. Whatever team he puts out there week one, I'm going to be confident in it. If I was AJ Minaj, I would think that the Eagles purposely hire a bad offense coordinator to keep my stats low and not pay me a big contract. Well, he's getting paid a big contract no matter what, mister. He is already getting paid that big contract. The Eagles did hire another coach, Jarrett Johnson. The Eagles interviewed 7 offensive coordinators 2 times. And Jarrett Johnson is now the third one of those that are a part of this staff. Sean Mannion, the OC, Josh Grizzard, and now Jarrett Johnson, all here. Just so you know. And I don't think we've hired a bad offense coordinator and offensive coaching staff. I'm extremely confident in this coaching staff for some reason right now. The youthful vibe that's coming out of this coaching staff. I'm excited for what the future holds. To see a more inventive offense, a more explosive offense, which will make our already explosive defense even better if they're staying on the field. Just don't give me the trust me horse shit. Yeah, I mean, when Howie Roseman says trust me, I get that. But see, Howie Roseman has also, Nooms, come flat out and said that they're not going to be active in free agency. They're not signing big-name guys from other teams. Now that you know you got Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson back. You hope Cam Jurgens' stem cell makes him healthy. His goal is to draft, develop, and re-sign his players. Yeah, you're probably going to lose some guys. But when he gives that trust me bullshit, I get it frustrates people, but also it's true. Guys built 3 Super Bowl teams, 2 Super Bowl championship teams. I do trust him. The wacky tobacco. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the wacky tobacco. So is Howie taking the Dombrowski stance? No. Because Dombrowski's saying run it back, acting as if he's already won something with the Phillies. The Eagles have actually won something just 1 season ago. So there's a big difference in the stances Howie will take versus Dave Dombrowski. Defensive center fielders like Johan Rojas are a dime a dozen. Should the Phillies cut him? If it's just weed, maybe not. I don't know. He's not going to be on the Phillies roster ever. Johan Rojas, whether it's weed or something else that he tested positive for, they got him kicked off the World Baseball Classic team. I think it was for the Dominican Republic. Whatever. He's your fifth center fielder, like Justin Crawford, Brandon Marsh, all playing center field over him at some points. You could put Otto Kemp in the outfield and slide people around. Johan Rojas might not even ever get called up this year for the Phillies, but he's just a depth piece. If it was something more significant than weed, then maybe I consider that stance. But rules and following rules in baseball with the Phillies has not been a very regular thing, we'll say, lately. Phillies seem to be getting caught making a lot of mistakes lately, and it's kind of interesting, kind of crazy, kind of weird. On a side note, Phillies-wise, and this was not on my agenda, I want to ask a question. Did anybody see the video of Gene Segura on a podcast, I think, talking about how Bryce Harper in 2022, I believe it was, kicked him out of the locker room because he was being loud on speakerphone, talking to friends and family on a speakerphone, whatever, in Spanish. And he said, get the F out of the locker room. And I know that this topic has split Phillies Nation. So I'm saying Bryce Harper is totally wrong, and Bryce Harper's an arrogant punk, and Bryce Harper has no right to do that, blah, blah, blah. On the flip side, Gene Segura doesn't have the right, if we don't have the right context on when he got yelled at. Was it during a team meeting? Were they in the middle of a losing streak? What was the scenario, the when, right? It's hard to criticize Harper. Maybe Harper was being a great Phillies leader at that moment by calling him out. I don't know. But I think it's very interesting. If I learn some context on that situation, I'd have a better way to criticize or praise Bryce Harper. But nonetheless, let me just say, to support Bryce Harper in this situation, I hate when people talk on speakerphones in public. I hate when people are carrying on a conversation in public on their speakerphone. It's just not necessary. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. I don't need to hear what other people are saying on your phone. Guys, if you have not yet, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. Please subscribe. Would greatly, greatly appreciate it. What's up? Welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, it's funny, a couple days off, a week off of doing live shows, it gets the itch going again. But on the flip side, it's really refreshing just to take a week off. When you talk 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week doing this, a short little break is actually very, very good, I think, for the overall product of the show and channel. Hopefully Stott's oppo strength continues. Look, whether it's Bryson Stott is having probably the best spring out of all the hitters so far, out of the Phillies guys that have been playing. He's hitting over 600. He's got over 1.5 OPS right now. He's got a couple home runs. Oppo power. It seems like maybe I missed it originally, but it seems like the Phillies questioned Bryson Stott as an everyday player this offseason, kind of like they questioned, elite Bryce Harper, and it looks like Bryson Stott took it seriously. Bryson Stott looks like a different player. Can he maintain it? Can he be what we all thought he was going to be? I thought he was going to be a great player. I thought he was going to be a really, really strong part of this team going forward. And his bat hasn't really progressed like I thought. Maybe this is the year where Bryson Stott's offense is finally where we want it to be. I always thought he could be a 280, 290 hitter. I always thought he could have an 800 OPS. I didn't think he was going to drive for power, but I always thought he could be a gap hitter. Who cares? It was years ago, and they just came off a loss. He was pissed and acted like a dick or leader. It was Gene Segura 3 years ago. Well, see, the point of it is people are making it a big deal because they're calling him an arrogant jackass, right? Or they're saying he was a great leader. I didn't hear it was after a loss. I haven't heard that part of it yet. But what I have heard is that if I learn the proper context, I'll feel a certain way about it. If it was after a loss, I love that Bryce Harper did it. Bryce is horrible. The whole situation horrible. One Met said, look, I'm not confident in the Phillies. I'm confident in Howie Roseman, whatever he does. I am not confident in the Phillies. I'm not. This Phillies team is weird. I think that's a great way to phrase it. The Phillies team is weird. You got this team full of talent. You've got certain different personalities not meshing right. The vibe. We've always talked about the Phillies' vibes with Garrett Stubbs leading the locker room and stuff. The Phillies' vibes, I don't think they're vibes. I don't know what to make of this Phillies team. Is there a leader? Do they believe in themselves? I know a lot of Phillies fans are losing faith in them. Got a bunch of guys that they tried to trade on the team that are still here. It's a weird vibe. It really is. Aren't there more Latino players in the Philly system than Caucasians? I don't know. Maybe. Stott works out. That could be huge for us. If Stott can be close, maybe not an all-star player, but close, where we're discussing whether he got robbed or not in July. That would be great for this Phillies team. Good morning, Elephant. How are we doing today? Good morning. Good morning. Yes, look who's back. Back again. Tell a friend. Arrogant is talking extremely loud on the phone while in the presence of others. Absolutely. I hate it. I used to hate it when I had a pizza shop, which I don't have, hence why I could go on vacations at a drop of a dime and skip snowstorms. One of my biggest pet peeves is when someone walk in the front door of the pizza shop, stand at the counter in front of the phones where you're taking orders, and talk on their speakerphone. It was annoying so much. So much. I used to go to a bar. Where was it? Manhattan's. It was in Chadsford, Kennett Square area. It closed down 20 years ago. And they had a sign behind the bar above the bar taps. No speaker phones allowed. And then years later, they put a second sign. If you're talking on your phone, go outside. And I loved that. Loved it. It's going to be the Flyers, but in baseball. What is? The Phillies? So start strong, collapse? I don't know. Phillies management have every right to question their well-paid team, and the players have the right to be butthurt over accountability and draw out the friction. I mean, this is a great way to say it. They both have the rights. I don't know if the players have the right, but I don't know. It's a weird vibe. The Flyers win over the Bruins was massive. Darth Vader was absolutely incredible. I turned it on. I kind of dozed off in and out of it. I hate it too. Bach, I hate it. It's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, so do I. So do I. Yeah. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing? Answer to poll is somewhat trust Howie. And as for Jalen Phillips, I hope they save that dough and let him move on. Keep Dean in draft edge. Good ones in draft. Look, so we're going to get into the draft a lot over the next 2 months. And the combine just wrapped up. And you can learn a lot about what the Eagles are thinking in the draft based off of who they're meeting with and stuff like that. And obviously, offensive lineman from the combine meetings, offensive lineman is going to be that first pick. Now, what do they do with Jalen Phillips? I don't know. Time will tell. But if you're not willing to move on from Nolan Smith and Moro, Jomo, those type of players, you're absolutely moving on from Jalen Phillips. Now, I will say on the Nakobe Dean front, while my Reed Blankenship source failed me, my Reed Blankenship source already told me that he spoke to Nakobe Dean's brother, and Nakobe Dean's brother said it's all but a done deal that he's going to Dallas, which means the legal tampering period is being tampered with already. So I don't know. My source is 0 for 1. We'll see if my source becomes 1 for 1. He technically said he's not 0 for 1 because Reed Blankenship hasn't left yet, so who knows? But yeah. And I know right now nobody has voted for none. He's overrated, Howie Roseman, because we know it's just a joke. But the fact that but he's got to be better on the Howie Roseman is 60-40 leading this poll, okay, over absolute complete faith. To me, still bothers me a little bit, Jonathan, Because the dude has built 3 Super Bowl teams in less than 10 years. He's won us 2 Super Bowls in less than 10 years. Kept us outside of 1 year, 2020, since Howie Roseman took back over. 2016 and 2020 are the only 2 years we haven't made the playoffs in the last 10. So, I have utmost, absolute, complete faith because he's doing it regularly. Howie needs to have a better draft this year. See, and I disagree because Howie's not going to have a better draft this year in 2026. Why? Because I can't say last year's draft was bad. I cannot say Jihad Campbell was a bust or Drew Makuba isn't good enough or Ty Robinson's terrible. You can't judge draft picks after 1 year, right? Very rarely are you going to have the previous year draft class or the year before that where guys like Jalen Carter and Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are making immediate impacts day one. And this year's draft, our first-round pick this year will not have an immediate impact this year. We are going to draft Lane Johnson's replacement. So at the end of the year, we're going to still sit here and say, well, it was an underwhelming draft because our pick didn't make an immediate impact. You got to think long-term, right? We got spoiled the previous couple of years because he got lucky with 3 or 4 guys that made an impact like that. I either want to hear about your thoughts on MAGA or how your vacation went. My vacation was great. Ate some good food. Drank some good alcohol. Ate lots of candy because, my mother-in-law put the candy spread out every day for me. Probably went into diabetic shock. It was a little cooler in Florida than I expected. I mean, it was better than up here. 65 the first 3 days, but it wasn't snowing like up here. The combines were not great. Were not good at all. It's not as entertaining as usual. I am not a fan of combines, okay? I'm not a fan of pro days. I'm not a fan of controlled environment workouts like that. Nobody on my draft board goes up because they run a 4.340. Nobody goes up on my draft board because they set the record for the highest vertical jump of all time, which happened this week. I forget who it was. I think people take too much into account with the combine. Meeting with players and their game film. That's what I, count on the most, okay? So, there's a lot of people down on this year's draft class as well. Both the Giants and Cowboys will split with the Eagles. I think there's going to be a ton of drama. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Jalen Reagor be like what? What's up with Jalen Reagor? This roster construct assumes Stott sees more pitches and has game pivoting at bats. When they don't happen, the lineup length takes a significant hit. Yeah, see, look, and what you describe, which it relies on, means, he's the type of player that could be a leadoff hitter. And I always thought Bryson Stott could be a leadoff hitter. The last couple of years, he's proven me wrong. But if he could be a leadoff hitter type in the 7, 8, 9 hole, well, not the 9 hole, that'll be Justin Crawford's spot, wherever they sit him, that's huge for them. If he can be the leadoff hitter at the bottom of the lineup in the 7 hole, it's huge. The Chiefs are releasing starting offensive tackle Jawan Taylor. I saw that right before the show. Mahomes going to be running for his life again this year, but at least he got another raise last year. They're restructuring his contract and stuff like that. He kind of had to save cap space. You're using the same thought process I did with Stout situation with Howie. But it is okay to move on from Stout because he didn't have a great year last year. Howie didn't either. Yeah, but it's different, okay? Moving on from Stout because the offensive line and the run game didn't do well. He didn't fit in with the new offensive coaching philosophy, supposedly. That's different than moving on from your GM because your first round picks, your first few picks, didn't make an immediate impact year one. Okay? There's a big difference there. Okay? The pool heater was broken. So, yeah, unfortunately, the pool was too cold because of the cooler temperatures they've had to get into. Ross, the fastest wide receiver, is in UFL. Look, we went into it last week on a recorded show. The UFL rule changes that I wanted to see in the NFL. I did a pre-recorded video last week. I gave the UFL credit for some great rule changes last week. Are there any of the UFL rule changes that you want to see in the NFL? And there's a couple that I want to see. The nerve of Jerry Jones not wanting Micah in Philly but desires Dean. Christian Parker was a desperate dude for a promotion. Yeah, look, the Nakobe Dean rumor to the Dallas Cowboys that I've been privy to is not rocket science. Christian Parker, new defense coordinator. I wouldn't say desperate for a promotion. Every coach wants a promotion. Every person wants a promotion in their job, right? Except for me. I don't have a job. But with Christian Parker going there, it's very realistic that Nakobe Dean or Reed Blankenship or both go with him to help him institute whatever style of defense he's going to bring to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't want to lose Nakobe Dean. I'm a huge Nakobe Dean fan, but it makes a lot of sense. VJ Edgecombe is starting to improve his mid-range game and starting to play a little bit more under control. I wish Nick Nurse would start improving him. Look, VJ Edgecombe, I got nothing bad to say about him. All I got to say after last night's Sixers game is, God, our bench is just god-awful. Okay? The Sixers have no bench. Okay? Like, seriously. You got Campaign. Everybody, oh, yeah, Campaign's back. I'm like, yo, shut up about Campaign. There's a reason why the dude was playing overseas. Okay? Jared McCain tearing it up at OKC. Kind of could use that on the bench right now. That's my takeaway. Any penalties? I don't know if that wasn't a UFL rule change. I don't think that was on the UFL rule list change. I was basically talking about a list of rules that they made this year that they could change. But I do think penalties of 15 yards or more should be challengeable. Now, we saw them, Rick, add that, was it like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where you could challenge passive interferences, spot fouls downfield, and they just eliminated the rule after 1 year because the refs never overturned their own mistakes. So, I don't know. And I kind of feel like we went down this path, and it didn't work out right. So, yeah. Quick refresh. What rule? I love the 4-point kick. I love the 4-point field goal. Okay? I do. I love that you got the extra point, the 2-point conversion, and now they're giving you a 3-point conversion. Love that. And I actually like that they're going the college route where they only need 1 foot in bounds to consider it a catch. Like, you only need one shin down in the NFL or one butt cheek down in the NFL, but you need 2 feet. Well, the UFL is going to adopt the college rule where 1 foot in bounds is all that's necessary. I like that, too. JJ desires Dean because he's an Eagle. It might be. It might be that Christian Parker's like, yo, I could use him. With the transition. Browns just traded for Titus Howard from the Texans. I did see that before the show went live, too. The Texans the Browns have no offensive line, so the ABS should be available in every single at-bat. I agree. I think I forget how much they're limiting it, Rick, but whatever the limits are in the ABS, it should just be, like, I don't think you could take away umpires from the game and have, like, literally robots. That would be just weird. But I think the ABS should have more than it is. It's like two an inning or 2 a game or whatever it is. It's just not enough. UFL is a team of refs that sits in an office with monitors all over. They real-time overturn wrong calls. Well, that I'd have to look into more. But if that's the case, yes, it should be getting done. You missed the greatest snowstorm of my lifetime. I got 25. It doesn't look like we got that much. I don't know how much we got. People said we got 12 in Coatesville. Didn't look like it on the pictures my dog sitter sent me. So I don't know. But I was glad to get out. My flight was supposed to leave on Monday. We're like, you know what? Saturday night, we're like, wait, it ain't happening. So we got on a plane at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning, like, let's get out of here. I'm glad we did. Browns don't have to worry about Harbaugh and Tomlin anymore. This is the time to go all out. That's good. That's interesting. For Dean and Blankenship to join Parker to rival Dallas is plain lunacy. That's like thinking Jack Lambert and Joe Green going to play for Dallas in that era. Look, it's not lunacy. It happens all the time in sports where a coach gets a promotion elsewhere, and they bring some of their players along to help with the transition. You got 2 free agents. They haven't been willing to commit to either of them long-term, the Philadelphia Eagles. Dean, on the side of Nakobe Dean, you drafted Jihad Campbell and you're paying big money to Zach Bond. It seems obvious. Now, I would love to retain Dean in any way possible. Reed Blankenship, that's a tougher one because you don't have a Reed Blankenship replacement. you let Reed Blankenship walk, in theory, then you're stuck with Drew Makuba and Sidney Brown at this point. So then that means you have to draft someone in safety and sign a free. You got a lot of work to do there. And you would be breaking up the exciting whites. McCain doing better for 2 reasons. More time away from the injury and better screen centers in OKC. But really, it's the playoff difference that really matters. Yeah. But doesn't mean we should have gotten rid of McCain. 18 inches in the city, gotcha. All the reports said we got 12 here in Coatesville, but all the pictures I saw did not look like 12, so I don't know. You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. You can't go far in the playoffs if you don't build your line. Exactly. And that's what the Eagles met with more offensive linemen at the Combine than any other position. Just so you know. I wonder if you guys read the article. It said what the position second most visited with. Our screen setting blows. Well, our team blows. Okay? More likely. The Sixers just suck. Plain and simple. Okay? I think every player should get 1 challenge per game. Every player should get 1 ABS challenge per game. I don't know. But then how many do you give to the pitcher? Because the pitcher or the catcher can ABS as well. Blizzard of night. I know, exactly right. If you're not old enough for the Blizzard of 96, then you're just not old. Dean is gone. Lots of teams interested. Some reason. Look, Nakobe Dean, when healthy, is a great linebacker. The problem is, when is he healthy? He misses a lot of time. He's got injury issues. I will be very sad when Nakobe Dean signs out. March 9th comes. That's the first day of legal tampering. I expect by March 11th, Nakobe Dean will be given a contract somewhere. And it breaks my heart, especially if it's Dallas. Yes, Reed Blankenship is not a great player. But Reed Blankenship is a leader and a captain on this Eagles defense. He's a leader of the locker room. He's extremely tight with Cooper DeJean, your all-star slot corner, okay? And you have no replacement for him. Like, literally none. So it's almost, and he's perfect for the Vic Fangio, defense. It's tough to let Reed Blankenship go. It's tough to let Reed Blankenship or Nakobe Dean go. But again, this goes back to the thing. This is where Howie does his best work. I have complete faith. If he lets all these guys go, it's not like we're going to have a lesser version of them on the team. He's going to find a way to put a quality team out there. I don't know. Hold on. Let's do a quick reset. What are we up to? We're up to 15 likes. All right, guys, hit that like button if you have not. I don't know Dean and Blankenship will make much of a difference on that Dallas defense, but it is a hit to our defense. It's a great way to put it. Losing them hurts our defense more than it helps Dallas's defense or whoever. But, again, what's going to happen, Duck, is that Nakobe Dean's going to sign with Dallas. Just say. Because that's what my source says. It's already a done deal, which if that's true, the NFL should, be looking into that. But anyway. Eagles fans are like, oh, my God, Howie failed. Why did Howie let him walk for just that amount of money? Because whatever the contract is, 2 for 20, 3 for 50, whatever, 4 for $300 million. Whatever the deal is, Eagles fans are going to say, wow, how come Howie didn't match that offer? He could have done it if he wanted to. My feeling is Howie will focus mostly on re-signing our own players this year. Rick, that's not a theory, okay? That's not a feeling. Howie Roseman flat out said at the Combine this week, our goal as an organization right now is to draft, develop, and then re-sign, okay? Problem is you can't re-sign everybody. So somebody is going to walk, right? And then you're going to fill in the fringes of the roster, just like last year, with one-year prove-it deals to guys like Josh Uche, Ojulari, Dory Jackson. That's what you're going to have happen this offseason. Re-sign our own players. We're going to lose some. We're going to trade some of our guys still under contract. And then They're going to fill in the fringes. First level of free agency, dead quiet for Howie. Second level, probably quiet. It's going to be the third level in free agency where Howie goes. I got your 12 inches right. Yeah. Consistently 8.5 inches from my area. Yeah, I think it was really weird, the reporting on this last story. Howie messed up drafting Makuba over. That's what irks me with Howie. Maybe he's too loyal from opinions of his scouts. First, he was not loyal enough to their opinions. In the past, he used to not take their opinions enough. Now he's taking them too much. Look, you can't grade Makuba over anybody. Rookie in a tough defense to learn for a rookie at a safety position, right? Got hurt. Couldn't get back on the field. I think there was a lot of good that I saw in Drew Makuba last year that I am not losing faith, and I'm not judging. You can't properly be upset at any of the draft picks last year from Howie. It's just too soon. It takes 3 years to fully evaluate a draft pick. I think ABS would be out of control without limits. Saw signs of it yesterday. Yes, without some limits. Just every pitch, every at-bat. I get that. But what is it, like 2 a game? It's like the NBA's challenge rule. If you get your first one wrong, you're done for the game. Stupid. Okay? There's got to be a little bit more to it. 93 had the fastest amount of melting with the 70 degrees after a few feet. Pressure flooding, nighttime. Yeah, I've been worried about, we've lived here almost 2 years. Haven't had any issues yet with it, but this has been the most snow we've seen in our new house, and I've been worried about the basement and flooding. I haven't had any, though, luckily. I'm very, very glad about that. Reed Blankenship is Coop's emotional support animal. Kind of feel that's, do you make a decision on Reed Blankenship strictly on leadership, strictly on what his importance is in the locker room and to the team culture? Do you sign Reed Blankenship to a 3-year, $24 million deal, 12 guaranteed, because of how he fits in with Coop and this defense? I think there is an argument to be made that that's important. Dean is hurt an awful lot, and I get that. And him going to Dallas, they got to deal with that, right? I still love the player. I still love the person. I do. I still want to see him in Eagles uniform. But there really isn't a path forward to keep Nakobe Dean because you drafted Jahad Campbell, because of the contract Zach Bond has. Hell, for you guys out there that love him, I'm not as high on others. Y'all tell me that Trot Jr. is this great linebacker. You just can't. Nakobe Dean is the obvious got-to-go guy. It's crazy how players that are leaving get smashed by Eagles. Sometimes. I think that it's sometimes the fans crush the players for leaving. I wouldn't crush Dean because he got a contract with Dallas. I'd be pissed, but that's it. That Howie gets crushed for it. Well, why didn't Howie pay that guy? Because you can't pay everybody. It would be so Howie to say that and sign a big offseason free. The misdirection, it totally would be, right? For him to go out and get Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson or whoever else is out there. It would totally be a Howie move, right? It's possible. Nothing would shock me with Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is talking draft, develop, re-sign. He's preaching patience, right? It wouldn't shock me if he flipped it flipped it on us and went out and got the biggest name out there. I think Drew Makuba played well. He played better as time went on. And then got hurt. So couldn't finish that development. Not having 2 stack backers that can play downhill would be a problem. It depends on what you think Trotter can bring. He definitely plays downhill better, Campbell, but not as good as a coverage linebacker. I think Trotter is a poor man's Nakobe Dean, a small, undersized linebacker. I don't think Trot Jr. is anything special in his limited action. Your starting linebackers next year are going to be Jahad Campbell, hopefully with another year of development, and Zach Bond. And I'm perfectly fine with that. You also have Trot Jr., and they drafted last year, Smile Mondin. So you got 4 linebackers on the roster with $13 million in cap space and a lot of holes on this team. Nakobe Dean's good as gone. 2 wrong challenges. Yeah, that's it. The first storm was worse because of the freezing temps. Yeah, it kept the snow from melting for 600 years, it felt like. Blankenship is not going anywhere because they don't have anyone to replace him. Look, that's a tough call, Robert. I don't want to say he's not going anywhere because they don't have anybody to replace him. It's not that hard to replace what Reed Blankenship does on the field, physically speaking. It is hard to replace what Blankenship does as a leader and in that locker room. Absolutely. It just depends on what the market is. If the market gets higher than 3 for 24 or 2 for 19 or something like that, if a team's willing to go up to like $30 million or 20 guaranteed on Blank, he's gone. But if the market stays soft on him, he'll be back pretty cheaply next year. I don't know if I'd say he's cooked, because cooked would mean he was an elite player that's fallen down. He's always only been an okay player. I don't think any Eagles fan ever thought Reed Blankenship was a great safety. He's a solid player. That if he's got a good safety next to him, good quarterbacks, good pressure, if he's allowed to play freely, then he's a good player. When he's forced to make plays, a little problem. They might as well draft Josiah Trotter. They say Josiah Trotter's better than Trot Jr. on our team. But I don't foresee the Eagles drafting a linebacker this year. He's not cooked. Blankenship might lump up a couple of Eagles if he goes to Dallas. Yeah, maybe. Dean hurt and don't produce much and will command much more than will make since Philly. Look, he does produce when he's healthy, and pretty regularly. TMC. Cowboys like to overpay, miss phase. Yeah, look, if Dallas signs Nakobe Dean, then that means it was the right decision for us to let him go. If any other team signs Nakobe Dean, then it was a mistake for us to let him go, right? Because Dallas just does everything wrong all the time. Reed cooked like McCaffrey did him in the playoffs. Again, Reed's not a great player. Cooked means you went from being great to crap, okay? That's what cooked means in my book. Reed was always just okay. Average safety with a decent corner on his side. I wouldn't be surprised if Dean went with a hometown discount. Hometown, is he from Dallas? Or hometown discount to stay in Philly? I don't know. I think the Nakobe Dean market is going to be not as big as people think. Okay? I think teams see that he has got talent. I also think teams understand that he's got a massive injury issue. So I don't know if Nakobe Dean is going to go out there and command big money. You might be able to retain Nakobe Dean pretty cheaply, in my opinion. Let's see if I can find. I did do a projection list on free agents for the Eagles last week. I projected Nakobe Dean at 2 years, $22 million, 11 guaranteed. 222, 11 guaranteed. If that number is accurate, does he stay in Philly? Is that number too high or too low? And if that number is accurate, does he stay in Philly? Does Howie Roseman give him 222? When you've already got Zach Bond on a lot of money and Jahad Campbell on a rookie deal. Okay, so you're saying don't be surprised if he takes a hometown discount to stay here. Gotcha. Because that could have gone either way. I just want to make sure we were clear on that. Nakobe in Cincinnati. Why Cincinnati? Cincinnati needs a complete remake of that defense. But outside of that, why? Is there another reason there that I'm not missing? 2 years, $22 million, 11 guaranteed for Nakobe Dean. It would be hard if that's the deal he signs to go to, say, somewhere like Dallas. It'll be a tough pill to swallow. It'll be a tough thing for Eagles fans to handle if that's all it takes. But again, tough decisions will be made. Tough decisions will happen over the next 10, 15 days. Next Monday is the legal tampering period. Technically, decisions can be made. And the reason why, this poll question is going on, which right now, some confidence in Howie is winning 56-44 over absolute confidence. I'm kind of shocked because I have faith in him, okay? I have faith that if he trades a fan favorite away, if he lets a fan favorite walk, that it's the right decision. Because he doesn't lead us astray too often, okay? Because Bengals need him the most. The Bengals are just a team that's got some moving parts. Bengals need a lot of things. Outside of wide receivers and a quarterback, they need a lot of things there. No stopping the commercials. I've actually only seen one since the show started pop up on my screen, just so you know. Yeah, Pittsburgh. There's a lot of teams that could use linebackers. But the thing is, what will his market value come to? If it's 222, maybe even less than that, I think he takes the deal to stay in Philly, right? But does a team like Dallas want to make Christian Parker happy and go out and offer him 3 years, 32, 33 million, 20 guaranteed? Maybe. And at that point, Howie's got to walk away. Cowboys are always a joke. So what's going on in Cowboys land that affect the Eagles? Pickens was franchise tagged. That's about it. The Eagles don't use the franchise tag. Exactly. You don't miss any of the show. Wherever the commercial starts, you pick up the show right there. Got to make the money. Like 10 seconds in, you can skip through. Get me that 1 penny, right? I need to make more money. Otherwise, I got to get a job. I got to start working on some interviews and finding a job this week. Tour dashing just ain't it at all for me. Actually, I should check my phone right now. Anyway, got to make the money. These trips to Florida get expensive, okay? And quickly. But anyway, the point of the poll question came from my tweet suggesting that there's an outside shot that Moro Jomo gets traded this offseason. And the point of that was to remind fans, because Eagles fans, I don't think they understand what's coming over the next 2 weeks to 2 months. The roster reconstruction that needs to be done with only $13 million in cap space is complicated, right? Very complicated. So if the Eagles can trade a player to make some of these difficult decisions easier, they might have to. I'm not trying to start an argument with Rick over Tanner McKee. But Tanner McKee could get traded in theory. Right? And that's going to upset the McKeisters. But the thought process is, I have faith in Howie that if he trades one of them or doesn't trade one of them, that he's making that decision. I'm confident in it, right? You look at the quarterback market in the NFL this offseason, right? With pretty much no quarterbacks of any substance in the draft outside of Mendoza, right? Your top free agent quarterbacks are Malik Willis, Tua, Kyler Murray. Malik Willis is going to get like $30 million somewhere. Anthony Richardson's on the trade block, right? And then there's Tanner McKee. There's going to be value there. And while that would suck for the Eagles, now we wouldn't have a quality backup quarterback. Yes, Howie would have to go out and find a Kenny Pickett or a Sam Howell. If Howie makes that decision, I'm completely confident that he made the right decision there and got max value. And for a good reason. I should go the Lenny Dykstra route and be an escort for the more mature. Is that what I should do? No. Lenny Dykstra, dead to me, always will be. Did I ever tell my Lenny Dykstra story on the air? My Lenny Dykstra story is, I was like a freshman in high school. I went out to dinner with my uncle. He'd pick me up from school, and he's like, on the way home, he's like, you want me to drop, get you something to eat? He's like, we stopped at a restaurant. Only 2 tables sat. It was pouring rain. It was out in the main line, and Lenny Dykstra was sitting at the other table. I'm like, yo, uncle, that's Lenny Dykstra. It's like, you can go over and ask for an autograph. Just wait till he's done his meal. We see Lenny Dykstra pay for his meal, leave his tip, and my uncle walks over and says, hey, can my can my nephew come over and meet you? It's like, sure, but send him with $50. And my uncle got ready to fight that boy right there on the spot. How dare you do that? So, yeah, I've always had extra hate towards Lenny Dykstra because 13-year-old me had to pay $50 to get an autograph, which I didn't pay. And I've hated him ever since. It's crazy to say that I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles traded for Anthony Richardson. Look, I don't want Anthony Richardson in Midnight Green. I know my man Joe Castro would say the dude hasn't been given a chance to develop, and he might not have been. But from what I've seen from college till now, Anthony Richardson ain't it, right? Not at all. But you trade Tanner McKee, you go sign a Kenny Pickett type quarterback 2, and then you bring in Anthony Richardson to be your quarterback 3? I wouldn't hate the idea. Why not, right? But if you're bringing Anthony Richardson to be your 2, that's a big no-no to me. Tanner needs to be traded. He has no starter future in Philly anyway. Exactly. And he's going on his rookie deal. Now, some would say you keep him, and if you lose him, you get a comp pick the following year. Same thing with Moro Ojomo. You get the comp pick, right? Problem is, right now, I think this is the trade you make for Tanner McKee right now. You get on the phone with the Jets or whoever needs a quarterback, right? Say, give me a 2027 third-round pick that if he plays X amount of snaps next year for you, turns into a second-round pick, and you take that. Because you're going to get a third or fourth-round comp pick for him if you lose him in free agency. So you're going to get that now for sure with the potential of it getting even better, right? I would do that deal. A third with a 2027 third that could turn into a second if 70% of snaps are played or 65%, whatever it is. Mitchie Poo, good morning. I miss my Mitchie Poo when I'm on vacation. I don't see him in the chat. Dean is going before Carter. Well, Jalen Carter's not going anywhere. They're going to extend him. Now, I've hinted and danced around the topic that you could, in theory, trade Jalen Carter. It's not popular, but you could make that argument. It's not the craziest thing in the world, but Carter's not going anywhere. Well, Lenny's defense, cocaine is that's true. That's very true. In hindsight, 13-year-old me did not know Lenny Dykstra was probably coked out of his mind at that restaurant. I don't even remember what the restaurant was. I went to Devon Prep. My uncle worked at the Devon post office. He picked me up. I hung out with him for an hour at the post office. Then we went to dinner. It was literally like 5 minutes from there. I don't even remember. It's probably not even there anymore. At what point do the Georgia Dogs lose their luster? You know, you might have a point here with this. I mean, I don't know. $50 is a deal. In 1994, 1993, $50 for an autograph was a deal. I don't know. I remember my uncle saying, it's like, yo, he waited. He could have bothered you. He waited till you're done. You're literally walking out the door now. Just meet him. Just sign a cocktail napkin. It's like, nope, $50. Like, what an asshole. Probably a gram in this time. He was on something. He was on Lenny, and I said he's never responded to it. Okay, because he's been a guest on podcasts before, and I was listening, and I've called him out in the chat, and he refuses to answer it. I've tagged him in posts on Twitter. Hey, he'll respond to anything. He's never responded to me once for that stuff. I watched parts of it. Last night was the first Yellowstone spinoff, Marshalls, based around Casey Dutton and Tate and those characters. So from 8 to 9, I was watching that. Then I turned the Sixers game on after that. Look, I did not expect the Sixers to win last night, Mitchie Poo. I did not, okay? I expected the Sixers to lose, again, because Joel Embiid wasn't out there. Our bench sucks ass, and this team is going nowhere, right? It's an average, right? It's an average basketball team. I expected a loss last night, and they succeeded in that, right? But don't worry, Mitchie Poo. Paul George is running sprints and laps around the practice arena while he gets ready to come back from a suspension in another 12 games. Don't worry. We got to share videos of Paul George running laps. Because that's, yay. Stupid. Autograph is worthless, and you would be down $50. Exactly. 50 and 94 was about the same. Buying power is roughly 111. Yeah. It does not. Yellowstone's a great show. Last night's new spinoff, Marshalls, was it was okay. But hopefully it gets better as they develop the show out a little bit more. Cool for the Hornets. Great. I don't really care about the Charlotte Hornets. I've tried to tell you that. I don't think you understand that I don't care about that, but, it is what it is. Guys, you're watching Trending in the AM. We're back after a week off. Please, if you're watching this live or on replay, you hit that like button if you have not. We've got 19 likes on the video so far. Hit the share button if you have not, and subscribe if you have not. We're at 1,035 subscribers. Let's get that number up. Let's start pumping and grinding and pushing hard this week. Let's go. Let's go. We're back, baby. Never watch it because I don't get the channel. The Hornets are killing it. I know that, Mitchie Poo. But, man, it's like that's all TMC ever talks about. That's it. That's all he wants to talk about is the Charlotte Hornets on a daily basis. I don't care. I'm not a Charlotte Hornets fan. I don't care about the Hornets. Nobody does in Philly. Nobody. Literally just TMC, and now I guess you, Mitchie Poo, are the only two people that care about that at this point. Anyway, what are we talking about today? We're talking the Eagles and Howie Roseman, how he does his best work at this point of the year. How don't be shocked if a trade goes away you don't like it. If he lets guys like Nakobe Dean walk, tough decisions are to be had. $13.6 million in salary cap, okay? That's it. That's all you got. Plain and simple. Tough calls are going to be had. We're talking the Phillies. Andrew Painter, huge debut yesterday on the mound. Really exciting, but just as big as Andrew Painter, pitching really well yesterday. Looking great. Backing up the reports that he looks great. Outside of that, you also had Zach Wheeler throw his second time off the mound. Huge step forward for Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler may be back sooner rather than later. That's a huge one. And, of course, we're talking about the Sixers' ugly performance last night, how much their bench sucks ass, plain and simple. There's no way around it. You'd be talking about the Hornets every day? Well, good for you. Good for you. Go for it. It's a good thing you got 47 channels, all right, to talk about it. They don't slump. They're just an okay team. You stream a Hornets game on one of your 47 YouTube channels. I'm breaking out the Hornets windbreaker. Oh, cool. Now we're making this PG rehab journey. He doesn't have anything to rehab from. Paul George wasn't hurt. He was suspended. It drives me nuts. It's happened twice, okay? This weekend. 2 videos popped up that Eagles and Sixers fans are like, yeah! The video of Paul George running laps around the practice arena to work on his cardio before his comeback, right? Yay! And Jalen Carter doing shoulder presses. Eagles fans are like, yay! Go shocker here. Little word of advice. Athletes do work out when they're not playing in games. Like, of course Jalen Carter's working on the shoulders. Of course Paul George is working on his cardio. Not a shocker. Athletes do work out. Fred Johnson might be gone, too, because he states that he wants to be a starter. Look, same thing happened last offseason with Fred Johnson. He wanted to be a starter. He went. He couldn't be a starter. He came back. Fred Johnson will not be a starter here. Again, Eagles fans are shocked when they said, was it Friday or something like that? Howie said Tyler Steen will be the starting right guard. So our offensive line will be exactly the same next year as it was this year. Hopefully better, hopefully healthier, right? Now, the Eagles do have to do a better job, Jonathan, of getting proper backups. You can't have that lack of depth on the offensive line if these guys get hurt again, if the stem cell doesn't make Cam Jurgens a good center again. You got to have the eventual replacement for Lane Johnson, who's going to be called upon at some point. And we will get that person drafted in the first round. I am at the 98% lock point now that the Eagles will be drafting a right tackle in the first round. I would literally put it at 98%. Sixers, tell us you are rebuilding without telling us you're rebuilding. Look, I'm telling you, after the season ends, I am putting it at 98%. 98% Joel Embiid is asking for a trade after the season. Does he get traded? I don't know. But he's going to pull a Giannis or Dame or whatever, a power thing, and say, I want out. Luckily, in 6 weeks, everyone is 0-0 in a few months. Yeah. Absolutely. Look, Fred Johnson performed pretty admirably filling in for Lane Johnson last year. He wasn't good. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was good, right? He's clearly not Lane Johnson. I think there's a role on some average or below average team. Fred Johnson should or could be a starter very easily. I don't think Fred Johnson's a bad offensive lineman at all. He's just not elite. What? Getting sober P? What? Cam Williams and Miles Hinton are available and should be ready as replacements for a Fred Johnson or a Matt Pryor. Look, I'm curious on those guys. And what's the other one? Holland Pierce or Holland? Well, yeah, Holland Pierce. We had a lot of people hyping those guys up during the offseason last year, that they were the eventual replacements. But they couldn't step in and play. They never really got the opportunity to play. When Matt Pryor and Brett Toth are playing ahead of you, tells me where you are in your development. Now you're losing Jeff Stoutland. We'll see what Chris Cooper could do. But you can't not draft offensive linemen early and often because maybe these two guys. I'll throw Willie Lampkin's name in there, or Lampkin, whatever it is. Oompa Loompa, whatever his name is. I'll throw his name into that conversation as well, Jonathan. You've got some young guys with some potential, but they're not ready to be regular players. If Landon Dickerson goes down or Lane Johnson goes down, these guys aren't ready to start yet. Fred Johnson is one of the most generic names in the history of names. It really is. Really is. Holland Pierce, I couldn't remember his name exactly, but yeah, Holland Pierce. Look, people hyped him up. Him and Cam Williams and Miles Hinton. Told us we had the real deal there for those three guys. With the amount of injuries we had on the offensive line last year, and none of those guys could see the field. I think they all saw the field week 18. But none of those guys could see the field. Tells me all I need to know about those guys at their development level at this point. I went to Eagles practice in the 70s and never paid for an autograph. Yeah, you should never have to pay for autographs. You just shouldn't, plain and simple. I like Holland Pierce. Did I say Holland? I didn't mean to put the D. I knew it was Holland. I just couldn't remember Pierce. Didn't mean Holland. Anyway, it is what it is. Look, I'm at 98% that tackle will be the first pick of the draft for the Eagles. Howie might already have the card turned in. Howie may have already turned his card in to the commissioner with 3 names. Here, this is my pick. If he's not available, this. If this is not available, this is my pick. That's how locked in I am that a very boring offensive lineman will be taken in the first round. And I don't know which one it is. There's a whole bunch of names that they've met with. There's a whole bunch of names that'll be available probably at 23. Now, I will say, this draft is being reported, especially even more after the combine, that it is one of the weaker drafts overall. So does Howie try to move some picks and move up in the first round to get somebody he really prefers? Do we really need a bunch of 5th and 6th round picks? I don't know. We'll see. I think that's another point to think about there is if Howie makes a trade, could be to move up in the draft. It could be because he really likes one guy. Last year, there were a bunch of linemen he wanted to draft in the first 3 rounds. Howie Roseman misread the draft room last year. Thought guys were going to fall to him. They did not. I wouldn't be shocked if Howie Roseman moves up in the draft to make sure he gets the guy he wants. Draft, develop, resign. That's his goal. That's his plan. That's why we're going to have a lot of tough decisions. And man, only 30. for all the cap space he gets. And I read he can only restructure so many contracts this offseason. There's only a few restructures he could do that would help the salary cap. Trading away players helps that salary cap. Ken Williams was hurt. If not, I'm not sure if Hinton is good enough. I was hoping he was, but I just don't know. I thought it was a good pick, but I haven't seen any improvement. I mean, how can we see improvement? The only thing we can see improvement-wise is the fact that they didn't get on the field much when there were opportunities. We're not watching practice during the week, during the season. So, I mean, you got week 18 and the fact that they didn't get on the field. So I guess they haven't improved. But we couldn't see improvement, really. Cam Williams, yeah, maybe he was hurt. Maybe that slowed him down, developmentally wise. But they had opportunities last year. And they never took advantage of those opportunities last year. So it is what it is there, right? Plain and simple. Let's see where we're at. We're at 19 likes still. Not too bad. Not too bad. Gained more subscribers last week, like while I was on vacation, than without doing shows than with doing shows. We're sitting at 1035. All right, guys, like, subscribe, share if you have not. Tell a friend. We're back on the grind this week. We're back on the daily grind. No bouts of doubt it this week. Okay? Got lots of free agency talk, a lot of Eagles topics to cover. Got more draft talk here to cover. More Jalen Hurts love to cover here. And then, of course, like I said, the Eagles did hire former offensive or quarterback coach from the Houston Texans, Jared Johnson, yesterday. They have not announced what role Jared Johnson will take offensively. I don't even know if there's any jobs available, right? But I love the fact that Jared Johnson, Grizzard have both been brought in to help. Like the guys that they're interviewing multiple times, and Jared Johnson, they interviewed multiple times in years past for OC jobs. They're bringing in so many young, fresh minds. I love it. I think it's a big win for them. Your solid cornerback, too, Buck, maybe Adoree Jackson again. And quite frankly, I'll be okay if the Eagles bring back Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson performed at a much better level than people realized last year. Adoree Jackson was a very solid cornerback. He was. I don't think people realize that. Okay? They're keeping Coop in the slot again. They've already said it. Coop's already said it. Everybody said it. Adoree Jackson, the only way he doesn't come back, the only way Adoree Jackson doesn't come back is if he signs a multi-year deal somewhere else. But if it's a one-year deal, Adoree Jackson's back. Why wouldn't you want Adoree Jackson back? He played. If you look at the numbers, he was a very, very solid cornerback too. You can't have 3 all-pro cornerbacks on your roster. You've got Coop. You've got Q. 2 of the best in football. You can't go get Ward or Gonzalez. You're not going to, just like you can't have 3 defensive tackles all making $20 to $40 million. You can't have 3 cornerbacks making $20, $30, $40 million. You just can't. And that's what Q and Coop are going to get. You got to understand you can't have an all-pro at all 22 spots. All right? There's got to be some bad players. You got no safeties. You got barely any edge rushers. You got no tight ends on the roster. You can't have an all-pro making $20 million on every spot. I really wish the Flyers could make that final push. Mitch Company, it would be exciting. It would get me watching. Adoree was just not a liability in the last quarter of the season. Well, and that's good. Not being a liability. Like, what do you want? Adoree Jackson would be a great comeback. You know why? Or bring back, because you can have him battle with Mac McWilliams or whoever else. Adoree is mid. Mid's okay. When you've got 2 of the greatest in football, having another mid player to go with them, that's actually pretty good. 19 likes, not 20. Come on, let's go. Hit those buttons. I did see last night that Javon Hargrave was let go. I do know Rick at some point in his time since he left Philly, he did have some injuries. I don't know if he's had any injuries this past year. He's definitely a little bit older. Rotationally speaking, I mean, I'll toss the idea around. I'll ask Vic Fangio what he thinks of Hargrave for sure. I'm not bringing him back simply because he was a former Eagle. I'll bring him back if he fits what we need and what we want. Sure. Again, you got a tough call to make on that defensive line with Moro Jomo on the rookie deal. Last year of his rookie deal. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter both getting extensions this offseason. You're going to need a cheap, low-price rotational DT. And if Hargrave fits, sure. Absolutely. As long as he can play 30, 40 snaps a game, or 30, 40% of the snaps a game, sure, I'll talk about it. I'll toss it around. I'll sit there in that defensive room with Vic and be like, here's some names. Who do you like? Is Hargrave somebody you like? Yeah. Jared Johnson, good hire to help additionally for development of Hurts. Yeah, we don't even know what his job's going to be, but I'm good with it. I like it. Okay? You got a lot of young minds, a lot of minds that get a lot of interviews, haven't gotten the jobs they wanted yet, but get interviews. Young rising minds. He played quarterback here. He was, well, not played quarterback. He was part of the Eagles roster back in like the Vic era during like the offseason. I'm all for it. Coop and Q need that solid corner too, and the draft has them. Adoree, Ringo, Bennett are not good. Look, I get Ringo and Bennett conversations, but Adoree played better, and you can. The Eagles, I will guarantee, not 98%, 100%. None of the first three picks are cornerbacks this year. Okay, picks 1, 2, and 3, not cornerbacks. Okay, you'll draft one maybe in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, but not somebody that's going to steal a job from Adoree Jackson. Definitely want to see Carter's numbers of snaps come down this year when he's healthy. We don't need him at 80, 90, 100% snaps anymore. Jordan Davis, I liked where he was last year. Get Adoree gone is the bottom line. What did Adoree Jackson do so badly last year other than play really solid defense? Stole the job from Keeley, never gave it up other than the brief time he was injured. He had a concussion, I think it was. People really hate on Adoree Jackson because he's not Quinion Mitchell. Of course he's not Quinion Mitchell. But remember, it wasn't too long ago, the bad offseason we had, or the bad season we had with James Bradbury and Darius Slay just stinking ass in 2023, right? It wasn't that long ago. Adoree Jackson did better than those two guys did in 2023. Played fine towards the end of the season. It took him a bit to get the system. Yeah. Look, Adoree Jackson's never going to be an all-pro. He's not elite. He's a second-tier cornerback. But you can't have all-pro bowlers, all-pro people at every position. They don't pick a corner from round 1 to 3. It's why? You've got so many holes on your team. Okay? And you want to triple down at one position? That makes no sense to me. You can't have all pros and first-round picks all at cornerback. It's not saying much. That is fine. He played way better than Bradbury did his last year, just so you know. Way better, okay? The Slay situation was odd. Look, everybody wanted Darius Slay back when he was waived, and then the Bills picked him up instead. That whole Slay situation, right? People don't realize Darius Slay played 10 times worse last year than Adoree Jackson, but everybody wanted Slay over Adoree Jackson. Slay was 10 times worse. And I'm a Darius Slay fan. I love the guy. Eagles legend. One of the greatest trades in Eagles history, getting him from Detroit by Howie Roseman. Right? But yet, everybody wanted a really bad Darius Slay over an average Adoree Jackson last year. It doesn't make sense. I don't think people understand Q and Coop are special. Exactly. They're like super special, right? So you can't put another $20 million into the position because of Q and Coop. You gotta understand that. Rick, you're not wrong. He was terrible last year for Pittsburgh. That is why Pittsburgh's on to try to make a playoff run, and they cut him. Okay? I would spend most of the draft capital on O-line, tight end, and defense end. But no one answered it. I already said offensive line is going to be that first pick. No doubt about it. Offensive line is who they've met with the most of. Tight end is the position that they have met with the second most at the combine. But they have not met with the top guy, Sadiq, who's going to be the only first-round tight end drafted. So they have not met with Sadiq, the tight end, but they are meeting with all the second, third, fourth-round tight ends on draft boards. All of them. So it's going to be lineman first, and either in the second or third round, it's going to be a tight end. And then your first three picks are going to be offensive line, it's going to be edge, and it's going to be tight end in some order, right? You also might, if you don't sign at Hargrave, you might need a defensive tackle as well. Steelers run, man. Slay got used to running zone, so yeah, he did struggle. We will get a free agent cornerback of none is draft. They will draft one probably, maybe, at some point down the line, but not early in the draft. Guarantee it. Do you believe Goddard is back next season? I hope so. I think Dallas Goedert will be back. Yes, I do. I think they're going to get him on a 2-year deal, ballparking around $25 million, about 12 or 13 guaranteed. I think he comes back on a 2-year deal because that is a big salary cap saver. Right now, when he walks and goes sign somewhere else, he's got a $20+ million dead cap hit. You can get rid of that cap hit by extending him. I don't know how much of it they can save, but at least half of it. You bring back Dallas Goedert because you have no tight ends on this team. You bring back Dallas Goedert to help groom the guy you draft in the third round. You bring back Dallas Goedert to save yourself $10 or $12 million in cap space. 3 reasons why I think Dallas Goedert will be back this year. I really do. I want Howie to get a tight end and a tackle with early picks. Yeah, so the only way you would draft a tight end in the first round is if you were going after that Sadiq kid. And they haven't met with him. They met with like 400 other tight ends this past week, but they didn't meet with him. So I think they know he won't be available for him. That's right, guys. If you haven't yet, hit the like button. Guys, subscribe, share, tell one, tell all. Bringing back Goddard will save us money. Exactly. Okay? And that's a big part of it right there. Plus, you have nothing else on the roster. Dallas Goedert will be back. That's a lock. He played pretty healthy. He played all but one game this past year. So at least he stayed relatively healthy this year. I don't think AJ's gone. Okay? I know that they might trade him. I won't be shocked if they trade him. But AJ is not getting traded unless you are offering a first-round pick plus something. That third and fourth round picks and stuff like that, that ain't getting no A.J. Brown trade done. Unless A.J. Brown has already told the Eagles, I am not playing here. I will not report. I will not show up. Get me out of here right now. Unless he said that, which I don't think he did, A.J. Brown's back. Why stay cheap at corner 2? Remember Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent? Q needs a talent at corner 2 capable. It's Bobby Taylor, yeah, and Troy Vincent. Those 2 really good cornerbacks, right? You don't remember the third off the top. I mean, we might remember, but, it's like you've got 2 talented corners, okay? You've got Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. Yes, Coop plays the slot, but you've got 2 elite corners already. And I'm not saying cheap, because Adoree Jackson is not cheap. Adoree Jackson played well. Play better than Darius Slay. I'm not saying going out there and getting someone below Keely Ringo level. I'm saying bring back a solid average guy. The tight end I want is Tanner Kozul. He's great at going up and attacking the ball in the air. Red zone threats, blocks well too. Yeah, I think I've seen him once or twice on some of the mocks I've run. There's a couple names that keep popping up in the second and third round that I'm intrigued with. Steve, and that's what you'll do. What's up, AK? How you doing? Good morning to you. Hope you're well. Can probably get him in the third round. I think the third round's a perfect spot to target a tight end for the Eagles. I do. I really do. I agree, Robert. I think A.J. Brown will be back. A.J. Harris was the third cornerback at one point. There was another guy. Wasn't Boykins part of that era too? Maybe he was just before that. You never remember the third guy, right? We don't need saying that we need the number 2 is kind of forgetting that Cooper DeJean is the number 2. Can Minaj restructure his contract to a lighter hit for our salary cap? I don't think this year we can. I read an interesting article. I forget who it was. One of the cap experts out there wrote an article about the Eagles that there's only a few guys that they can restructure the deals of to save cap space. Jalen Hurts is one of them. I don't know if Dallas Goedert counts because he's a free agent, but that saves us cap space. Jordan Davis can save us cap space. But that's about it. There's not much saving cap space this year. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith signed their most recent extensions too soon, too recently. And offensive line, speaking, I don't think any of the guys on the offensive line can restructure this year. I'm not positive on which ones, but I think there was only like 3 names that the Eagles can restructure this offseason that would save us cap space. I saw somebody work out a plan to get us to like $30 million in cap space. And that's about the max that the Eagles have. So let's think about it that way as well. The Eagles not only have a lot of tough decisions to make, it's not like Howie could pull magic out of his hat this year, and in 2 weeks we have $65 million in cap space. We don't. We already got almost $60 million in dead cap money this offseason. That includes the 20 going to Dallas Goedert. It's another reason why A.J. Brown getting traded is such a tough pill to swallow, because dead cap money doesn't matter until you get to a certain level, and then it does matter. When you have so many holes to fill, and it does matter. I think this is a great question. Birds in 5. What's up, my man? Phil, with Johnson joining, that's Jarrett Johnson, joining the coaching staff, are you worried too many cooks in the kitchen? I am not. I think that the more, the better. I think the more, when you've got this inexperienced coaching staff, the more ideas in that room, the better. All the guys are bringing in Grizzard, Mannion, Johnson, keeping Parks, Frazier. They brought in so many names. Cooper. You're bringing in all these minds, right? All of them want to be OCs and head coaches someday, again or for the first time. I don't think there's too many cooks in the kitchen, all right? You've got a head chef, you've got your sous chef, and then you've got your line cooks. And they're all there putting it together, right? I get it. I think it's a great question, but I don't think so. Maybe I'm biased because I've been interested in Jarrett Johnson since we interviewed him, but we interviewed him before the Kellen Moore hire. I wanted him in 2024 to be our OC. He was on my short list that year. So I like Jarrett Johnson. I like Jarrett Johnson more than Grizzard being here. I see what you're saying. I like what you're saying. And it's a good thought process, but personally, I do not. We need to draft an O-line in the first round and second round. Lane Johnson is elite. Yeah, I agree. O-line, 98% likely first-round pick. I don't know if, you said O-line, not tackle. Sorry. O-line in the first round, and in the second, third round, you'll see a second lineman, probably someone that's a guard-center hybrid, and a tight end with your second and third pick, depending on how the draft board falls. That's how I see it. You're going to see 2 linemen and a tight end in the first 3 rounds. Break it down however you want. We're going to have a few more kumbaya sessions with AJ and get him right with this squad. Yeah. What's up, Spides? How you doing? If Goddard walks, I'm intrigued in pairing Zach Ertz with a rookie. Look, Zach Ertz is recovering. There's talk that he'll be ready for the start of the season. I know Eagles fans would love that. I'm not against bringing Goddard and Ertz back and drafting in the third round of tight end. Right? Make Zach Ertz your third. Because there's no guarantee Zach Ertz will be ready week 1. If he is, it'll be barely. You don't know what kind of burst he's going to have or skill set he's going to have left. You bring back Dallas Goedert on a 2-year deal. You draft the tight end in the third round. And then you sign a 1-year, $5 million Zach Ertz. Maybe he has to start on the pup list. Who knows? But I don't hate that idea, okay? In my scenario, not in your scenario. But I prefer my way with it a little bit more. Honestly, AJ wants to leave no matter how hard Howie wants to keep him. Reason Nick said no guarantee. Look, there are so many A.J. Brown rumors. Every day, the rumor mill flips in a different direction on A.J. Brown. I'm not even, I don't want to say not concerned. I'm just, this is me with the A.J. Brown. Whatever. I think he stays, but I don't know. I don't think any of us know what's going to go on. Favorite third outside corner was Rod Hood. Rod Hood, there's a name for you. Jared Johnson's here just in case the quarterback coach doesn't work well with Ertz. Yeah, he's a former NFL quarterback. Look, he did great with C.J. Stroud his rookie year. His second and third year, not so great. There's a lot of injuries in Houston. Whoever they're going to be being is a backup quarterback. Yeah, it's true. Johnson can help develop the next guy. I miss your old setup with your jerseys in the background. I like this background. I want to paint this wall a different color. You know, I don't know. You know what I want? I don't know who remembers Sean Brace's Joel Embiid mural from his Philly influencer days in his home studio. I need a big, giant Philly mural, sports mural painted back here. That would be awesome. I need to find like a artist that'll do it for free, like a trade-off. I'll promote their work, and they paint me a mural back here. That would be badass. Anyway, we're past the 90-minute mark, guys. If you haven't liked, share, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Poll results. Do you have faith in Howie Roseman? I can't believe not one troll said no, he is overrated. I'm shocked at that. Winning the poll towards the end, maybe I convinced you all. At 53% absolute complete faith in Howie Roseman. Some, but he's got to be better. 47%. That's the end of the live poll vote right there. But we're going to wrap this baby up. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Eagles check down back every single day. Fairway to Heaven tomorrow night, 6 p.m. with the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I think Eagles will sign that free agent tight end from Tampa. Need to keep Dallas, and I think they will. Are you talking, is Kate Otten a free agent? Is that his name? I think. Unreal that I told my stepfather to the U of P-E-R and have to see a sign saying measles outbreak. What is this? I think I saw something about that. You should paint each section behind you a Philly sports team color. Yeah, I mean, just like stripes of the colors. I don't know. I gotta figure something out. I don't know what to do with that. Maybe I got ideas. I love this background, but I think it could be even cooler. A little less busy, maybe. You know, I know K1 says it's too busy. But anyway, got to wrap this baby up, guys. Thank you very much, Robert. We'll be back tomorrow morning. There'll obviously be a check down tonight. I got an interesting one for tonight on the Eagles check down that we'll tackle tomorrow as well. Got lots of things to talk about this week. Eagles' new DB coach, Mike Pellegrino, was a nickelback coach. They got him for the exciting ways. That's true. That's true. Pellegrino. There's a lot of young. I had him in my notes last week or 2 weeks ago when we signed him. Never really talked about him. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Muchas gracias. DeJohnam. Yeah. Anyway, notebook closed. Short sheet is here. Everybody have a great Monday. We got like 2 cold days left, and then it's going to warm up out there, which is fantastic. So everybody have a great day. Go Birds. Thanks for bringing me back, guys. Bubbles up.